There is a kind of Alaska that does not appear on the road map because there is no road, no driveway, no gravel turnoff, no mailbox leaning at the end of a lane. To stand on the porch of these cabins, you do not drive and you do not walk. You lift off the ground, you fly over 100 miles of spruce and saltwater and bare granite, and you come down on a beach, a gravel bar, a frozen lake, or a patch of ground a pilot has quietly decided is good enough. A quick, honest word before we go any further, because you count and you check, and we love you for it. In Alaska, flying does not always mean a helicopter. Most remote owners arrive by float plane in summer and by ski plane in winter, but there is a narrow and very real category where the helicopter is the only answer: the places with no water flat enough to float a plane, the frozen lakes that are neither open nor solid, the slopes too steep for anything on wheels. And there is a legal twist almost nobody mentions. Across most of Alaska's protected wilderness, landing a helicopter is flatly illegal, which is exactly why the private cabins we are about to visit matter so much. They are deeded islands of private ground sitting inside an ocean of land where the rules say you cannot come down at all. Today we are visiting the 4 most remote of them currently on the market. We saw your complaints in the comments, the ones asking us to stop just talking about these places and actually link them. You were right, so we did the digging and put the official portal right in the description. That is the whole point of this channel, finding the strange properties at the literal edge of the map and showing you exactly how to get them. So if that is your kind of dream, subscribe. We start in the southeast on an island the Tlingit people named Kutsnuwu, which translates roughly to Fortress of the Bears. The name is not poetry. Admiralty Island holds one of the highest densities of brown bears anywhere in North America, close to 1 bear for every square mile, more brown bears on this single island than in the entire lower 48 combined. And tucked into that fortress, on 3 acres of private deeded ground completely surrounded by National Monument wilderness, sits a historic cabin that just came onto the market for $995,000. This is the one we want you to really look at, so here is the second reason to subscribe. The property is called the Hasselborg Homestead, and that name carries a whole life inside it. Alan Hasselborg arrived in southeast Alaska in 1901, a self-taught naturalist and the most feared bear hunter of his era, until something turned in him and he spent his later decades protecting the very animals he had once stalked. He homesteaded alone on this island, built his own boats, guided scientists, and kept a weather journal so careful that researchers a century later used it to test modern climate models. The cabin needs work and the listing says so plainly, but you would be buying river frontage, ocean frontage, and a piece of one of the last genuinely wild places in America, reachable by float plane or helicopter out of Juneau, and legally yours to fly into when the wilderness all around it is closed to everyone else. If that is not the strangest property at the edge of the map, I do not know what is. Subscribe, because the next one sits even further out. Our second stop swings west across the Gulf of Alaska to Kachemak Bay, just across the water from the town of Homer. There is a tiny community here called Halibut Cove, and it has no roads at all. The few people who live here move by skiff and by boat, and wooden boardwalks connect the homes where streets would normally be. For $1.25 million, you can buy a custom-built home on 10 acres here, with wide views of the bay and the glaciers behind it, reachable only by boat or by float plane. This is the gentler end of remote. You are minutes by air from a real harbor town with restaurants and an art scene, but the moment you step onto your own ground, the world goes quiet and the only traffic left is the tide. Third, we head inland north toward the Alaska Range and the shadow of Denali to a private lake outside Trapper Creek. This one is listed at just under $2.5 million, and it is the most comfortable cabin we will show you, which is a strange thing to say about a place with no road for miles in any direction. Someone built a real lodge out here on the shore of an interior lake. There is a chef's kitchen, there is a full solar array, and there is Starlink bolted to the roof, which means you can stream a movie while a moose walks past the window and the northern lights burn overhead. In summer, you land a float plane on the lake. In deep winter, you land a ski plane on the ice. And in the in-between weeks, when the lake is neither open water nor solid ice, the helicopter is the only honest way in. This is the property that taught me why serious Alaskans keep a pilot's number saved in their phone. And now the fourth, which is the most remote of them all, and the one with the catch. Far out on the Alaska Peninsula, near a speck on the map called Pilot Point, there is a full lodge that sits 100 miles south of King Salmon and nearly 400 miles from the nearest road. 400 miles! It is wrapped in more than 4 million acres of protected wilderness beside a 40-mile river system that empties into Bristol Bay with its own 4,000-foot private airstrip because nothing else could ever reach it. Painter Creek is the dream version of everything on this list, and it already sold. Here is where most channels would shrug and move on. We do not, because sold does not mean gone. A property like this does not vanish when the listing closes. It simply gets a new owner, and that owner now sits on a public county tax record. You can look up the parcel, you can find the name, and you can write the one letter nobody else thinks to send, the polite handwritten note that says you love what they have, and if they ever think of letting it go, to think of you first. That letter has quietly bought more remote Alaska than any auction ever has. So how do you find these before they ever reach a glossy brokerage page? Here is the part that matters, and it is in the description. The state of Alaska quietly sells its own land, and most people have no idea it happens. The Department of Natural Resources runs a land sales portal where the state offers parcels 3 different ways. There is a sealed bid auction, there is a remote cabin staking program, and there is an over-the-counter program, and that last one is the gift because the over-the-counter program is open to residents and non-residents alike. There is a live auction running right now with bidding open through the end of September. You make a free account, you open the parcel list, you filter for the access and the region you want, you turn on the email alerts, and then you let the strangest real estate in the country come to you. These listings move fast and sell quiet, so the people who win out here are the ones who set the alert today and were already watching while the rest of the internet was asleep. So there they are. The Bear Man's homestead inside the Fortress of the Bears, the boardwalk house with no road, the lodge with Starlink and a moose in the yard, and the 400-mile lodge that one lucky stranger already owns. 4 cabins at the literal edge of the map, 3 of them still waiting, every single one reachable only by leaving the ground. So tell me in the comments, if a pilot set you down at any one of these 4 tomorrow with the deed in your pocket and no way back out until spring, which one are you choosing, and what is the very first thing you build the moment you land?